Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Well, he's telling us this, he's telling us that, changes it every day, ba-na-na-na, says it doesn't matter. Bases are loaded and Casey's at bat, playing it play by play, da-na-na-na, time to change the batter. Is that old Joe? Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. And this will not be post-debate analysis. I gave you time to let it all sink in and think. And to my friend on the sidelines by the dugout at the baseball diamond the other night, were we not just talking about this? And now the lady whom I mentioned to you in our previous discussions. Oh yeah, she's at the forefront. But then again on the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast, I started talking about this exchange, if you want to call it that, probably in October or November of last year. Go back through the catalog. It was an episode devoted solely to that topic, but it was mentioned in our free expression, our freely associating through ideas. So we've been working on that for a long time. We just did not know how it would manifest itself, as we have no special talents. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to man. How in the hell did we get here, and where is it that we want to go? That badass Joe Walsh Rocky Mountain Way. I remember we were kind of on a desert high, mountain steep, if you want to call it that. Dude comes in a Huey. I'm talking about Joe Walsh. The troops needed some encouragement. Joe, if you look at any of his pictures, that's exactly how he looks. And he looked pretty damn torn up back then. Dude dropped in where we were all congregated, and he began with that song. I'll never forget it. And he belted out a few more, said his goodbyes, got back in the Huey, and they were gone. So think about those words. He's telling us this, he's telling us that, changes it every day, ba-na-na-na, says it doesn't matter. And yeah, we know the bases are loaded. Look around the world. Look at our country. And Casey's at bat. Oh, damn. And you know what? It is time to change the batter. That should have been done a long time ago. I mean, these last three men have really effed us. And I'm talking about Barry. I'm talking about his wife, Michael. And I'm talking about Joe. They've got us jacked up. I can't think of three men who have done us a more disservice. But before we get too far off in the weeds, I need to acknowledge my show sponsor, OldCountrySoap.com. OLDE is how you type in to the website, as in old school. Hand-cut, handmade soap that is cured for 1 month, infused with essential oils comprised of bentonite clay to remove impurities, and a coconut oil base. Most effective, cost-effective, that is, artisan, handcrafted soap on the market. You will not be displeased. Anyone who has used it has told me how much they enjoy it. They enjoy the lather. They enjoy the cleanliness. They enjoy the softness of their skin. A lot of people use it to simply replace hair products as well. It is excellent for that. They also sell laundry soap. You can buy it in different sizes, different colors, different compositions. One has more tallow than the other. But go check them out. Just like we needed to talk about Old Country Soap at first, because then we need to move on. It's no different than you've got a dinner engagement and damn it, you just came in from work, but you got a shower. It may be inconvenient, but it's necessary. We ain't like no damn King Leonidas, and even though he was a badass, he probably every so often had a little bit of BO. And we got to take care of business, and we got to make a time allotment for our ladies to get ready too. It just is what it is. And then we hurry out the door and we move on. But back to King Leonidas. You think if a man slighted King Leonidas back in the days of the warring class of Sparta, that he would show up with two of his other most proficient warriors, much less 10, much less 100? No. If you slighted that man, he would simply appear before you and he would meet you right where you are at. If it evolved into something else whereby a spear, whereby a espada y daga, meaning the old Filipino longsword and short blade ended up coming into the mix, so be it as well. But he was just as happy to use his head, his feet, his hands, anything. Two men standing before one another, and we will let the process evolve. So where I'm going with King Leonidas is, I appreciate rambunctious dissent. I appreciate rambunctious support. I appreciate every one of my listeners. But if you keep telling me and listing my address in some of my comments, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm not there all of the time. I am there some of the time, but I am always very, very close. If you want me, come find me. And we'll go from there. Second of all, that goes to a point. This weaponization, which Joe has so ardently engaged in, with our Department of Justice right on down to every governing jurisdiction's police entity. If you gave me 3 months and you bestowed upon me some of the power of the state by which you used to coerce people, I would not use it one iota, and I would get superlative results that you could not achieve by threatening arrest, by threatening incarceration, by threatening bodily harm, by threatening removal from your own family, leaving your loved ones behind. That is all that our government has. And they use it to great effect because who wants to lose any of those liberties or the things that they love? So here is what I'm going to tell you. It actually demonstrates not one scintilla of professional acumen nor investigatorial ability. It's just straight up bullying. You take a 3-year-old child and you put a 6'5" man in front of him screaming at it, that child will cower. That's all you are, government of the United States and your police entities. Do something better. You know how much information I have gotten out of people on the street by looking at them, just like King Leonidas, standing before them, and I meet them right where they're at, no matter if they escalate, de-escalate, it evolves or devolves. You want some skill and you really want some of these caught, wrangled in, especially the bad ones that are in our country right now? Give me a little carte blanche. It's no different than my clients back in the day that'd be like, Eric, you've been working on this 2 weeks. You don't have the equipment. Well, because it's painstaking, methodical work, you dumb And they'd be like, offer them money. I'm like, I don't need to offer them money. Okay? A den of thieves is a den of thieves. That's not the cure-all. Give me some time. Let me use some skill. Let me meet a man where he is at, and we will go from there. Learn to do that, United States government, including all the rest of the countries abroad, and you would be amazed at your results. The difference is we don't have anyone who can adequately do that. Is it you, Joe Biden, playing tough guy? Is it you Ukrainian Jew Anthony Blinken with your skinny tie? No, they don't respect you. Donald Trump was right. So real quick, oldcountrysoap.com, OLDE, countrysoap.com. Chaos20 is your 20% off promo code. Elon will be anxious and waiting to hear from you, and you'll get the best soap in El Mundo, the world. All right, real quick on that debate. Joe, I see posts and I receive messages every day. Veterans and those currently serving abhor you. You disgust them. They hate you. You have not done more for veterans than anyone else. You are an abject liar. And my guess is your Secret Service protectorate cannot stand you either. They may have some empathy and or compassion for you, but they hate you. And if I could get two of those guys alone at a coffee shop in D.C., they would spill the beans so quick to me. How do I know this? Because that's how I made a living. And I never threatened anyone. I gave these Mustangs that it was my job to rope complete autonomy. And I said, you run as far as you want to. And when you finally get tuckered out, you will know that you put that own noose around your neck and hung yourself. I gave you a chance. And at the end of that, just like Vince Lombardi said, fatigue makes cowards of all men. They would do what I asked. All right. So we know that vets and those actively serving despise Joe. Joe was talking about our border. Did you know the head of the Border Patrol Union, before that debate had ended, put out a tweet on X and said, "We have never endorsed President Biden, nor will we ever." And these are primarily Hispanic men, the majority of which have families still in Mexico. They can't stand you either, Joe. They know what you're doing to this country. They know how you have handcuffed them and turned them into amusement park gatekeepers simply taking tickets. And President Trump didn't have to say anything else. It is a friggin' travesty what you have done at the hands and behest of all the NGOs, the UN types, the Klaus Schwab types, the World Economic Forum types, and anything that Billy Bob Gates and or the Clintons are associated with. Those are the handlers. You are beholden to them. And now even your own party puts you out on display purposely to see you fail, because they have known this for quite some time and they needed to move to phase 2. So right now, Michael, Michelle, whatever the hell you want to call him or her, is actively shopping on StockX. Why? She's going to need a lily white new pair of sneakers, and size 14 is hard to fit, so she's shopping. Gavin Newsom, he's going to charge his fellow Californians $500, and he is going to get a nicely clipped, coiffed mane because he's back in the spotlight, baby. I think your ticket's going to be Michelle and Gavin. Who knows? I can tell you this. Kamala Harris is pissed. You see, Democrats have no loyalty to one another. And really, Republicans don't either. But we're talking about a Democratic incumbent, are we not? Kamala took that position. You got to realize back in 2020, before Joe had cemented his party's nomination, him and Kamala were jousting. She pointed at him, and back then the lecterns were very close to one another, and said, "You know your son is taken," and she didn't say millions, she said, her exact words, $1 billion from China, Joe. That was a big deal back then. It went away. She went to work for him, right? She also, on that same stage, called him a racist. And he is someone who actually is. But when she thought she could be put into the proverbial hot seat, not the hot seat for responsibilities and duties, because we know she has been given none. She is an abject idiot, a cackling, babbling hen, indicative of most of the feminists in this country. But she thought she could be the first woman president. She thought she could crack that damn glass ceiling right over Hillary's head. And I said, Hillary's responsible for killing lots of people. The public finally realized that she's washed up, but she still needs to be investigated and thrown into the damn hokey along with Bill. I know his cheeseburger days are behind him, and I know he has some health ailments. But that is one rambunctiously devious son of a bitch. So yeah, Kamala is pissed because she has been left out of the talking points and or at least the mentioned possibilities of replacement. Good. Go out to pasture, just like Rocky Mountain Way says. We're tired of you. American people deserve better. We deserve better than all of you. But I can tell you, Donald Trump did an amazing job because he really did not have to say much. But to know everything that he knows and is clued in upon, and to endure all that he has, to sit there and just chiefly remain on a few talking points, demonstrates incredible emotional acumen, emotional maturity. And I will always tell you that a man who can hold on to his composure and his emotions despite what is in front of him is an extremely strong man. And we have that in Donald Trump. And they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink to keep him from going in. Guys, what we are doing here is just simply loading up our stable. Going back to those Mustangs that I mentioned, I believe I have a little Mustang in me. And I believe that any one of my male listeners listening to this show has a little unbridled Mustang in them too. We're just running across the BLM lands, kicking, neighing, snorting. That's where we're happy. We want to fill this stable up with so many of you that we just kick through these damn doors. I don't know the form that it's going to take, but it has to happen. So where this is going to manifest itself is at the end of August, mid to end of August. I'd have to check the exact dates. Democratic National Convention in Chicago, home of Barry Soetoro. And they would like nothing better than to then promenade Michael Obama back out as your new nominee. Am I totally assured that it will be her? It doesn't matter to me. Trump knows so much, and behind the scenes he can actually say what he believes, say what he knows, and I know they are around the clock working on this. They will be ready. It's just, is the system been rigged enough in a variety of ways, and with all these people who are now in our country and eligible to vote, can we withhold these false numbers? You got to realize that despite Trump getting approximately, there's variations. I've heard and seen numbers of 74 million. I actually believe it was 72 million and change. It still would have put him above Barry Obama's second time he was elected of 62 to 63 million of the popular vote. Trump got 72 to 73 million. It was epic, as Trump says. It was huge. But Biden got anywhere from 81 to 83 million. If you look at the number of registered voters in the country, when you combine those two numbers for both Biden and Trump in the 2020 election, it came out to approximately 13 to 17 million more votes than we had registered in the entire United States. It was a total sham. Everyone knows it. So we're going to be doing our best to combat it. So Lord, I ask this of you, Lord God in heaven, our Father. I ask that you cast your gaze upon America. And I ask that you cast your gaze upon every one of my male listeners. Give us your wisdom and your energy. Breathe your spirit into us, Lord. Help us to be the leaders that you envisioned for our families, for our spouse, for our children, and the greater world around us. Help us to find a way to unite and work together, Lord. Yep, I ask that you come into our lives and stand by our sides and give us this ability, Lord, to take this country back that you set in place, and with men who believed in you, Lord, and looked to you first, just like we need to do in our own lives. In your Son, Jesus' name, amen. Correct. This country didn't come from Muhammad. This country did not come from Islam. So stop bringing them in here. Let them get down on their knee if they're a Muslim and they're currently here and give us their allegiance. You find something wrong with that? You know I correspond with people all over the world. And maybe the Democrats want to put in a leader from the Taliban as their new candidate. Well, you know what happens when someone fornicates here in America? Everyone claps. Hey, man, you'll try it out, a partner. That's beautiful. You got to know one another before you got married, see if everything fits. That's a good thing. That's the American way. That's why all these people love The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, despite the fact that they're married. Are you missing something? You're only missing one of your marbles, you fool. Stop watching that bullshit stuff. And on to Islam. You know what happens if a young lady is even suspected? Let's say she's engaged, but maybe she didn't show adequate deference to one of the leaders in her community, a male leader. Dude can concoct some charges, say, hey, I think you slept with your fiance. You know what then happens? It's kind of like our government. They can trump up a charge, no pun intended. And they won't kill you with stones, but they will kill you with time. They will kill you with money. They will kill you with letters. They will kill you with words. Under Sharia law, they just simply dig a hole, bury you up to your waist, tie your arms next to your sides, and then a group of men get in front of you with big stones and pelt you into oblivion. And any place, let's just say this, you never will hear a word about it provided that populace is in the minority. But when they become the majority, just like in England, you will have your own Sharia courts here too. And Biden and all these people give not one F about it. They are all part of it. It is time to change the batter. I do not know who is going to come up to the plate, but let that debate be your D-Day. That is the day you saw him and the ineptness of that party for what it truly is. And Jill Biden, you showed your true colors too. You are an absolute skank. No scruples, no decorum. Afterwards, post-debate, you're like, well, Joe, you answered all the questions. He's not a kid. He functions as a kid now, and it is truly sad. But you latched on to Joe Biden when you used to be his babysitter, and you cheated on your bar owner husband who was giving money to that scurrilous bastard. But you wanted something more. And you have pushed him along this trail despite his frailty and diminished faculties. You're no better than Hillary Clinton. You're the skank in chief of the first. Whatever. That's what you are. And America saw that too. Let this be our D-Day. And once again, you don't have to listen to Eric Hellberg. Listen to the great Dwight D. Eisenhower when he rolled into Auschwitz. Before he did another thing, he said, I want every photographer in here that we have, y'all start snapping pictures immediately. Videographers, I want you taking footage right here immediately. Start taking survivors, healthy people. Combine, culminate their stories. We want the witnesses because some bastard is going to come down the road in history and say none of this ever happened. We know what all has happened. And we want to rewrite it for the better for as long as we can. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.